Hello, glad you can join us. Here's what we have for you this Monday. Shopping for Canada's next submarine fleet.
It's a big, big procurement. This is going to be a relationship with the winner for years, decades to come.
We explore the depths of South Korea's sales pitch.
We saw some things at the home that were concerning to us.
The disappearance of the mother of a high-profile American television host.
Now there's an actual rocket on the launch pad pointing in the right place.
Plus, here's hoping practice makes perfect before a historic moonshot.
CTV National News with Sandy Ronaldo.
The competition is heating up to build Canada's next generation of submarines, with both South Korea and Germany pulling out all the stops. CTV News has learned that plans are in the works for South Korea's Hanwha to sail one of its submarines across the Pacific to Canada this spring. CTV's senior national correspondent Judy Trin is in Koje, South Korea, with the exclusive details.
A deep dive into what could be the biggest defense procurement in Canada's history, the purchase of up to 12 submarines.
Because this has now evolved into a government-to-government situation. It's a big, big procurement. This is going to be a relationship with the winner for years, decades to come.
To persuade, the South Korean Navy plans to sail the KSS-3 submarine across the Pacific and dock in British Columbia, a journey that will take 2 months.
Your hands up here.
Okay.
CTV News also got to see Hanwha's pitch up close. We couldn't film because of security protocols, but the attack submarine holds about 50 sailors. It launches vertical missiles that target land and has torpedoes. But the deciding factor will rest on economic benefits. To win the contract, Hanwha is pledging to help hard-hit businesses, like investing $345 million in Algoma to buy its steel and help it build a plant to make beams.
It's been tough as tariffs have been in place for a year, and half of our business has gone away.
While some companies are hurting, others are looking for ways to expand. Using robotic technology, Hanwha builds 45 ships annually on its assembly line. Speed, Ontario's shipyards want to emulate.
I mean, what they do here is cutting edge. It's absolutely fantastic. If we can bring just a fraction of that to Canada, I think us as a country would be a lot further ahead in our shipbuilding endeavors.
Hanwha has already signed up more than 20 Canadian partners, and more are expected to join its bid in the next few weeks. Hanwha and its rival, TKMS, will have until March 2nd to submit their final proposals. Sandy.
All right, Judy, thank you. Judy is in South Korea. Well, Canadian military officials were in Texas today for a ceremony marking the arrival later this year of the first F-35, one of 16 stealth fighters ordered from the United States. Ottawa has yet to decide whether to sign on for another 72. Donald Trump is threatening to retaliate if the deal is kiboshed. Well, an internal investigation by the RCMP has found that last year alone, more than 400 of its members were accused of misconduct, with cases ranging from improper social media posts to sexual wrongdoing, even criminal code offenses. More than 70% of cases led to remedial or corrective disciplinary measures, such as special training. Nearly 1/4 of cases resulted in serious measures, such as being docked pay or declared ineligible for promotion. And 5%, or approximately 22 cases, resulted in termination. The 408 accused Mounties make up less than 2% of the RCMP's workforce. Well, Frank Stronach's first sexual assault trial got underway in Toronto today. The 93-year-old founder of international auto parts supplier Magna is one of Canada's richest men. The billionaire is facing 18 counts. CTV's John Woodward is outside the courtroom. Okay, John, what have you been able to learn about today's proceedings?
Sandy, the 93-year-old billionaire arrived at court this morning with his lawyers and sat in a closed courtroom during the pretrial motions in a case that deals with allegations that may have happened as many as 50 years ago. Jane Boone was just a 19-year-old intern at Magna International in the 1980s when she last saw the company's leader, Frank Stronach.
It was very odd seeing him shuffling by. he was such a dynamic and forceful presence when I was a student. You know, he was the star of Magna, and now he's a little old man.
She claimed in a recently filed lawsuit that Stronach took her to dinner and then had sex with her, allegations the billionaire and his company deny. She is not among the complainants in this first set of criminal charges to be heard at Toronto Superior Court, but hopes to support them in a trial of one of Canada's richest men, who, one complainant told CTV News, used his power and leadership position to find women for sex.
He wasn't my employer anymore. He was my abductor. He was my rapist.
The allegations from 13 women relate to incidents as far back as 1977, before the current definition of sexual assault was made law. The courtroom closed Monday as lawyers wrangled over pretrial motions in what will be a trial by judge, which observers say could be a strategic move.
Cases like this that are in the media, there's a lot of public perceptions as it relates to the Me Too movement, as it relates to wealthy men who in the past are alleged to have committed criminal offenses. Part of the calculus may be that with a judge who's trained in the law will be followed.
Stronach's lawyers have said he intends to fight the allegations in court. Boone hopes for justice.
The playbook is to smear the complainants, to accuse them of being greedy gold diggers and liars. And so I know that my own experience was pretty awful. So I'm hopeful that it won't be too upsetting for them.
Magna International started its own investigation into what may have happened on company property. That was in 2024. When we checked in with them today to see if they have any findings, they told us they have nothing new to report. Sandy?
All right, John Woodward in Toronto. A tragedy is unfolding for the family of NBC Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. Her mom has gone missing, and police say the 84-year-old's Arizona home is being treated as a crime scene. CTV's Washington Bureau Chief Joy Malbon is here. Okay, Joy, what are police saying about this disappearance?
Hey, Sandy, yeah, this is really disturbing news. Arizona police are pleading with the public to help find Nancy Guthrie. She's the mom of Savannah Guthrie, a talk show host. But it's no longer a missing persons case, as you said, but described as suspicious. And now it's a crime scene.
We want to get right to what is a deeply personal story for us. Nancy Guthrie, Savannah's beloved mother, has been reported missing in Arizona.
The search is on for Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old mother of NBC's Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, who was absent from Monday's broadcast. Arizona police telling reporters that Nancy Guthrie did not leave her Tucson home willingly.
We saw some things at the home that were concerning to us. We believe now, after we processed that crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime.
Police say at 84, Guthrie has physical challenges requiring daily medication and ruling out that she just wandered off.
We don't need another bad, tragic ending. We need some help. Nancy Guthrie is of great sound mind. This is not a dementia related. She is as sharp as a tack.
On social media, questions are being asked, and there's speculation. Was this something darker? And many expressing shock and sympathy and outpouring of support. The NBC host reading a statement from Savannah.
I want to thank everyone for the thoughts, prayers, and messages of support. Right now, our focus remains on the safe return of our dear mom.
Police aren't revealing what they found inside Guthrie's home. They're withholding information to protect the investigation, hoping that public tips will help lead to the safe return of Nancy Guthrie. Sandy?
Joy, thank you. Another setback for the Northern Ontario community of Kashechewan. With the discovery of a parasite in the water supply, it's prompted plans to evacuate medical staff. Now, most residents have already gone after problems in January with the water treatment plant. CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver now on the ongoing issues facing the Indigenous community. Annie.
Sandy, nearly a month after the state of emergency was declared, Kashechewan First Nations community members are scattered throughout Ontario, and a solution is still in the works. The several hundred people remaining in the fly-in community of Kashechewan may soon be without medical care. The medical staff are pulling out soon, a month after a state of emergency was called in the Northern Ontario community of about 2,300 people.
Once the confirmation of the cryptosporidium was in the water supply, Health Canada, I think, and their health teams decided that that they have to remove their nurses out of the community. The paramedics will follow.
Indigenous Services Canada says the community's nurses are expected to depart today, but that orange air will be on standby if needed. The residents who are choosing not to evacuate will have to drive about an hour away to Fort Albany Hospital for care.
Roughly 370 people are still there. We're starting to make plans to get these individuals or these families out of the community.
Evacuations began last month when a state of emergency was called after the community's water treatment system failed, sending sewage into people's homes and contaminating freshwater systems. Late last week, tests confirmed the parasite Cryptosporidium was found in the community's water system, the same parasite that made more than 60 people sick.
It doesn't take much of this infection to ingest to actually get us sick. And the primary syndrome of this infection is a gastrointestinal syndrome.
This latest incident comes after the community found E. coli in their water in 2005. And while engineers are looking at solutions, so far there is no timeline for when the water will be safe enough for the community to return. And even then, Wesley says trust in the water has eroded.
It is going to take some time, a lot of time for people to regain that trust.
Indigenous Services Canada says there are plans for access to alternative health care, including virtual care for residents. The department says that the nurses will start returning to Kashechewan when the community members do as well. Sandy.
All right, Annie, thank you. Now, it's been snowing in Kashechewan, but nothing like the nor'easter bearing down on Atlantic Canada. Parts of Newfoundland are expecting as much as 50 centimeters of snow. CTV's Paul Hollingsworth now on the third major storm in as many weeks, hammering the region. Okay, Paul.
Sandy, another major storm bringing dangerous conditions caused a tragedy this morning. Police in Truro, Nova Scotia say a 54-year-old woman was killed this morning after being hit by a snowplow. According to police, snow, wind, and poor visibility were factors.
Private contractor was plowing snow in the parking lot and tragically backed up and struck a pedestrian who was cutting through the parking lot at the same time on foot.
This is the third major storm in 3 weeks, with Newfoundland this time receiving the most snow in the Atlantic region.
There's already reports in the east of the province, including parts of the Avalon Peninsula, 20 to 30 centimeters of snow, accompanied by much higher wind gusts, some of those wind gusts between 80 and 100 kilometers per hour.
New Brunswick and Prince Edward Island were spared. But some areas of Nova Scotia are once again in cleanup mode.
Parts of east Nova Scotia have picked up some snowfall amounts in excess of 20 centimeters, including one report at Spanish Ship Bay at 28 centimeters.
Pedestrians were forced to move about on sidewalks not yet cleared, facing obvious concerns.
A slip and a fall and breaking something or having a soft tissue injury.
While crossing guards still must stand their post regardless of weather conditions.
When it's minus 15, 16, it can be very uncomfortable, especially when there's blowing wind.
This snow is starting to pile up, and with chilly temperatures in the forecast and no rain or mild temperatures in the long-range forecast, we can expect this wintry scene to stick around for some time. Sandy.
All right, well, mixed reviews on that last point, Paul, especially if you were hoping to hear a unanimous reprieve from this frigid and snowing weather on this annual Groundhog Day.
Yes, Willie predicts. Now hear this. It's an early spring.
Ontario's Wiarton Willie is foretelling an end to the deep freeze. The local mayor and town crier say the rodent did not see his shadow.
Es-tu sûr?
Another sunny prediction in Quebec, where the furry Fred Le Marmotte also avoided seeing his shadow. Now in Nova Scotia, as we saw, bad weather, well, it forced Shubenacadie Sam's event to be cancelled. However, according to folklore, that means an early end to winter.
Lucy does not see her shadow.
Despite the windy winter wallop, an East Coast creature still managed to pinch a hopeful prediction with Nova Scotia's Who Knew? Lucy the lobster seeing an early start to spring.
That there is a shadow here on my ground. 6 more weeks of winter abound.
So here you go, a more dispiriting prediction south of the border in the U.S., where Puxatawny Phil saw his shadow, meaning many more weeks of this relentless winter. All right, folks, who do you believe? We'll be right back. A familiar name in Canadian politics is taking on a new role. Liberal MP Bill Blair will be resigning his Toronto seat to become Canada's new High Commissioner to the UK. Blair is a former cabinet minister who has served in several public safety roles, including Toronto's chief of police. Blair's appointment and Chrystia Freeland's resignation will trigger by-elections. Freeland is now an advisor to Ukraine. Well, the bill aimed at providing GST relief to help with the cost of groceries will be fast-tracked through Parliament after MPs voted unanimously on a Conservative motion today.
We have a crisis in this country for millions of families and millions in line at a food bank, and we want to see real relief.
The Conservatives say while they agreed to support the government's bill, they're calling on the Prime Minister to offer more tax relief to help offset high food prices. Okay, so the Conservatives, as you know, are fresh off their weekend convention where the party overwhelmingly voted to keep Pierre Poilievre as leader. CTV's chief political correspondent Vashi Capellas was in Calgary and she's back in Ottawa today. Okay, Vashi, a sense of renewal, one could say, infusing the federal Conservatives now. So what message are they taking into these next few weeks?
Well, there's a couple of different things that I think are important to flag. And the first is borne out, of course, through the numbers, that 87.4%. Certainly whatever message they bring, in large part in the room where that speech was delivered and now in the halls of Parliament, is one that they all appear behind. That doesn't remove the question of some potential floor crossers, but in general, there is definitely a renewed sense, I would say it's fair to say, of unity. The second part of it, though, the big takeaway for me is what you just talked about, Sandy. This sort of push for collaboration, the fact that they did what they did in the House of Commons today, you know, ushering in basically a motion so that through unanimous consent, they're going to fast track this stuff. We just got news into our inbox from the Conservatives that the Prime Minister and Pierre Poilievre will meet. They think it could happen as soon as this week, and that is at Pierre Poilievre's urging. He wrote a letter a couple of weeks ago asking, he said he hadn't heard back, so he posted a video, and now the Conservatives are saying that they do intend to meet. So that is a bit of a change as well coming out of the weekend. Sandy?
Interesting. Okay, Vashi, thank you. Still ahead, a Canadian astronaut gets ready for liftoff. Why this dry run is known as a wet dress rehearsal. The first trip back to the moon since 1972, for humans at least, is expected to blast into space on Sunday. That's if what's known as a wet dress rehearsal goes smoothly. Now, the Artemis crew, including Canadian astronaut Jeremy Hansen, is taking part in the walkthrough today. CTV's John Venevali-Rao has more on how NASA is preparing for blastoff.
After rolling out to the launch pad 2 weeks ago, this massive NASA rocket's now undergoing a final critical test, what's called a wet dress rehearsal, being fully loaded with fuel. And if all goes well, Canadian Jeremy Hansen could blast off in less than a week, with the moon mission seeming like it could finally happen.
Now there's an actual rocket on the launch pad pointing in the right place, and there's the moon somewhere not, kind of lined up, and now we're actually putting fuel on it.
There were no astronauts on board today. All four remain in quarantine, awaiting the green light for a launch attempt. A mission that'll see them go on a 10-day lunar flyby on a rocket and capsule that have never carried people before, with Hansen set to become the first non-American ever to go around the moon.
To see our beloved Jeremy Hansen going up there, Canadian, this is just a really exciting moment for the world, but it's especially exciting for Canada.
Depending on how today's tests go, the Artemis rocket could potentially launch on the 8th, 10th, or 11th, failing that in early March or April, with the astronauts prepared to fly on Sunday.
The crew are assuming that's their launch date, so they will be ready.
All that as concerns are again being expressed about the Orion capsule's heat shield, which during an uncrewed test in 2022 was damaged unexpectedly during re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere.
Enormous chunks of the heat shield came off. Fortunately, not enough to cause catastrophic failure, but certainly enough to send alarm bells ringing all over
NASA.
NASA has said if astronauts had been on board, they would have survived. And it has modified the angle at which the capsule re-enters the atmosphere. Still, some think it's too risky.
Meanwhile, NASA should reveal in the next day or two if the fuel up went properly. A problem could force them to move the rocket back into a hangar. Sandy.
Okay, John, thank you so much. CTV's John Venevali Rao. After the break, honoring history and a sense of belonging, serving up celebrations as Black History Month begins. Sunday marked the start of Black History Month, a time to learn about and celebrate the contributions of Black Canadians. Charlottetown has a vibrant community that dates back more than 200 years to when freed slaves made their way to the island. CTV's Maria Saru on Prince Edward Island's deep-rooted legacy. Maria.
Sandy, dozens of UPEI students are at this reception enjoying free Pan-African food as Black History Month is marked across the country. Lunch is served. Fried plantains, Jamaican chicken, rice and beans, and samosas as a long line of students fill plates and grab a seat. Earlier, the Pan-African flag was raised outside to celebrate the start of Black History Month at UPEI.
Being Black students on campus, we do feel that every space is a space for us to be welcomed and felt included.
Erica Ndugu-Chalo with the Student Union says a growing Black community on campus and beyond is helping build a stronger sense of belonging. The island's Black population more than doubled between the last two censuses, from about 825 people in 2016 to 1,815 in 2021. And that number is likely bigger now. It means more chances to gather and celebrate, says the Black Cultural Society's Raquel Smith.
It's probably a breath of fresh air, to be honest. Sometimes people are, not knowledgeable that the Black community exists or that it has grown over the years, but it does.
Awareness can lead to curiosity, and that's how cultural understanding spreads. One conversation, one event, one plate at a time.
It's very encouraging to see the community wanting to learn more about our culture and also getting really excited to try our foods that are very, I would say, exquisite.
This reception is just the start of celebrations on campus with movie nights and cultural showcases still to come. Sandy.
Food looks delicious. Okay, Maria, thank you. And thank you for sharing your time with us. I'm Sandy Ronaldo. That's it for us this Monday. Bye for now. We'll see you tomorrow, we hope. Have a lovely evening. Take care.